Okay, so this thing that happened to me, it was back in 2022, right? I mean, the current date's whatever it is now. But yeah, about 2 years ago, I was just trying to get through my days as this 28-year-old graphic designer holed up in my little urban studio apartment in the city. You know, the kind of place where the rent's sky high, but you get a view of brick walls and traffic noise all day. I was still dealing with my dad's death from the year before that. Samuel Thorne, he passed from a heart thing, totally out of nowhere. And honestly, I hadn't really talked about this weird bird stuff to anyone until now. 'Cause it sounds batshit crazy, but lately I've been thinking about it more, you know? Like with the anniversary coming up again, I figured why not spill it to someone? Maybe it'll make sense or something. Or at least stop rattling around in my head like some unsolved puzzle. Anyway, let me set the scene a bit, 'cause it helps, I think. My studio's this cramped one-room deal on the 4th floor of an old building downtown, surrounded by all the hustle, horns blaring, people yelling on the street below, that constant city hum that never really shuts off. I'm Elias, by the way, Elias Thorne, and back then I was freelancing from home, sketching logos and crap on my tablet, surrounded by piles of art supplies, half-empty coffee mugs, and sketches taped to the walls. Grief was still hitting me hard, man. Dad and I were close. He was this ex-military guy who loved tinkering with old radios and stuff. Morse code was his big hobby. He'd tap out messages on the table during dinner when I was a kid, teaching me the dots and dashes for fun words like my nickname or dinner's ready. After he died, I'd sometimes catch myself tapping rhythms on my desk without thinking, just to feel connected, you know? But it was lonely as hell in that apartment. No roommates, no pets, just me and the echoes of my own thoughts. I'd try to rationalize the sadness away, tell myself it was normal, that time heals all that bullshit. But some days it'd just creep up, like a weight in my chest, making it hard to focus on work. So one morning, let me remember exactly. It was early spring, I think, around 8 a.m., right when I'd brew my first coffee and settle in at my desk by the window. That's when I first noticed this bird. A blue jay, vibrant as hell, all bright blue feathers with that black crest, perching right on the outer sill of my window. At first I was like, cool, some wildlife in the concrete jungle. Maybe it's lost or something. But then it started tapping, not just pecking randomly, but these deliberate rhythms. Tap, 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 pause, tap, tap, like it was trying to communicate or crack a nut or whatever. I watched it for a minute, sipping my coffee, and it hit me. The pattern sounded familiar. Dots and dashes, you know, like Morse code. It was spelling out something simple, maybe hi or whatever, but I shook it off. Birds do weird shit, right? Probably just hungry or territorial. I mean, I live in the city. Pigeons are everywhere. But this jay was different, persistent, showing up at the exact same time every day after that. The next morning, boom, there it is again, same spot, same time. Tap, 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 pause, longer taps. I pulled out my phone and looked up Morse code real quick. Yeah, I know, nerdy, but Dad had drilled it into me. It was spelling hello, straight up. My heart kinda skipped, but I laughed it off. Coincidence, Elias, don't be an idiot. Maybe I'm projecting my grief or something. Therapists say that happens, right? Like you see signs where there aren't any because you want to believe your loved one's still around. But it kept coming back. Day 3, same deal. Perched there, staring right at me through the glass with those beady eyes, tapping away. This time, the rhythm was more complex. I decoded it slowly. Dot dash dot dot, pause, and so on. It spelled Eli, which was my childhood nickname. Only Dad called me that, nobody else. Okay, now that freaked me out a little. I stood up, paced around my studio, trying to shake it. The room felt colder suddenly, even though the heat was on. Must be a draft from the old windows, I told myself. But deep down, it was comforting in a weird way, like maybe Dad was sending a message through this feathered messenger or whatever. Nah, that's nuts. Birds don't know Morse code. It's got to be my imagination filling in the blanks. I remember that afternoon I got sidetracked thinking about Dad. He was always promising stuff, you know? Like when I was a teen, I lost this little keychain he'd given me, a small silver tag engraved with our family initials, Stet for Samuel Thorne, Elias Thorne. It was from his military days, something he carried for luck. I dropped it somewhere during a move, and he swore he'd find it one day, turn the house upside down if he had to, but he never did. And then he was gone. That promise just hung there, unfinished, adding to the grief pile. Anyway, back to the bird. By day 4, it was tapping longer messages. I sat there with a Morse code chart printed out, decoding in real time. Miss you, Eli. Jesus. My hands were shaking as I wrote it down on a sketch pad amid my colored pencils and markers. The taps echoed in the quiet room, cutting through the distant siren wails from the street. I felt this mix of warmth and chills, like, is this real? Or am I losing it from too much isolation? I tried to explain it away. Maybe the birds learned the pattern from somewhere, like a neighbor's radio or something. But who the hell broadcasts Morse code in the city these days? It didn't add up. You might think I'm exaggerating, but listen, it kept escalating. Over the next couple days, the bird was there like clockwork, tapping personal stuff only Dad would know. References to old family jokes, like the time we built a tree house and it collapsed, or my favorite ice cream flavor from when I was a kid. I'd decode it, feel my eyes well up, and then snap out of it, telling myself it's all in my head. One morning, I even talked to it, out loud, like an idiot. If this is you, Dad, I need some closure. Remember that keychain? You promised. My voice cracked a bit, echoing in the empty studio, surrounded by my half-finished designs scattered on the floor. The bird just tilted its head, tapped a quick yes, and flew off. I sat there stunned, the coffee going cold in my mug. Rational me was like, birds can't understand English, dumbass, but the grief part, it wanted to believe so bad. That's when I tried to shoo it away because it was getting too weird. The next day, there it is again, tapping insistently, louder, faster, like it was urgent. I banged on the window, yelling, "Go away, this isn't funny." The glass rattled under my fist, and the bird fluttered back but didn't leave right away. It stared at me, then pecked harder, spelling wait. My gut twisted like hell. I was shitting bricks, honestly, because now it felt like something was pushing back. I closed the blinds, heart pounding, and tried to work, but every few minutes I'd peek, and it'd be gone, only to return the next morning with even more determination. Tap, 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 relentless, like it wouldn't take no for an answer. I remember feeling this eerie calm wash over me mixed with dread. The room got that sudden chill again, like someone opened a window, but everything was sealed shut. Minor coincidence, maybe, or just my nerves playing tricks. And then the big thing, the keychain drop. It was the day after my shooing attempt, same time, bird perches, taps a message. Found it. I froze, staring through the glass. The jay had something in its beak, a small, shiny object. It dropped it right onto the outer sill with a tiny clink that I could hear even inside. I opened the window real slow, the city air rushing in with that mix of exhaust and rain smell. And there it was, the keychain. Silver tag engraved with Stet, a bit tarnished but identical to the one I'd lost years ago. My fingers trembled as I picked it up, feeling the cool metal, the familiar weight. The bird watched me for a second, tapped what I decoded as "love you," and flew off. I sat back at my desk, turning the keychain over amid my art supplies, pencils rolling off the table, sketches fluttering from the breeze. Holy shit, how? I'd searched everywhere for that thing back then. Dad had too. Was this some signal from beyond? Or the wildest coincidence ever? I tried to rationalize, maybe the bird found it in a park or something, but how would it know to bring it here? And the Morse code? Nah, that didn't hold water. But it felt comforting, you know? Like Dad kept his promise after all, even from the other side. Still, it creeped me out. The eeriness of it, this feathered thing acting like a messenger. After that, the bird stopped showing up, just poof, gone. Days turned to weeks, and I'd stare at the empty sill, half expecting it, half relieved. But then, one evening, while I was flipping through an old sketchbook, one I hadn't opened since Dad's funeral, sealed with tape and shoved in a drawer, I found something inside. A single blue jay feather tucked between the pages, pristine and vibrant. The book was sealed, man. No way anything got in there naturally. I felt that chill again, my skin prickling as I held it up to the light, the feather's edges glowing faintly. Was this the final message? Proof it wasn't all in my head? I sat there for hours reflecting, the keychain in one hand, feather in the other, amid the quiet hum of my studio. I still think about it sometimes, you know? Wonder if it was really Dad reaching out or just some bizarre string of coincidences. Makes me question everything. Leaves this lingering chill. Have you ever had something like that happen?